As 2020 was winding down, Libyan warlord Khalifa Haftar threatened to reignite a campaign that failed disastrously last year. A ceasefire deal in October had put a stop to the fighting in Libya. But Haftar's brazen threats, which were also directed at Turkish forces, could upend a shaky peace. Haftar said he would use direct force against Turkish troops if Ankara did not cease its support for the UN-backed government of national accord. That threat was immediately shut down by Libya's defense minister. Haftar's foreign backers also signaled they weren't on board, with France saying there wasn't a military solution to the conflict. Egypt and Russia have also been in contact with officials from the GNA, hinting they too are looking beyond Haftar. But Ankara hasn't taken the warlord's threat lightly. Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar visited Libya in a show of solidarity with the GNA and to inspect troops stationed in the country. And to discuss the latest, joining me now from Manchester is Ahmed Sewehli. He is a political analyst and Libyan rights activist. And Murat Aslan, he's a researcher at SETA, a political and policy think tank based in Ankara. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Ahmed, could you walk us through the latest when it comes to political and military situation in Libya right now?
From a military situation, there's not much going on. When I say not much going on, there's no combat as such. However, it wouldn't surprise you to know that in the east there are still Russian planes coming from Syria to Benghazi, as well as Emirati planes traveling to Rajma, which is near Benghazi. What are on those planes, we don't really know. Sirt is where there were clashes a few months ago, but then of course that stopped. But Sirt, which is in the middle of the northern coast of Libya, is still under Haftar and Russian control, really. From a political point of view, there are these talks going on under the auspices of the United Nations. Now, the good thing is that all parties have agreed that there should be elections, national elections, December this year, 2021. However, there are still differences on who should oversee those elections and whether there should be a new government or not. Until now, there has been no agreement, so Sarraj is still officially the president of the Presidential Council and the Prime Minister of Libya, based in Tripoli.
Yeah. So, Murat, what do you make of the latest visit by Egyptian diplomats and intelligence officials in Libya to meet the GNA? If I'm not mistaken, it's the first official visit.
Well, it was a bit surprising, though. It was expected because Egyptians had accepted Minister of Interior Fethi Basha to Egypt, and there were some ongoing negotiations with the Tripoli government, with Egyptians in Egypt. And this visit must be read through not only in the regional dynamics, but also international ones, because Egypt is heavily concerned with the developments in the Gulf region, the change in the US administration as of January 20th, and at the meantime, heavily dealing with the developments at the Eastern Mediterranean Sea for energy politics. So if you compare the assets on the ground in Libya and also the potential developments expected by the Egyptian delegations or Egyptian decision makers, then yes, there must be another gate in Libya just to compromise the interests of Egypt and with comply with the international developments.
All right. Ahmed Sisi says he supports political solution in Libya and does not want any military action. So do you believe Egypt could become a reliable partner in finding a political solution to the Libyan conflict? And do you believe they can overcome years of differences?
I think, as Murat said, it is in the interest of Egypt to have a stable Libya. However, the stable Libya that Egypt wanted was one where Haftar would be in control. Now, of course, that didn't happen. And the reason that didn't happen was because of Turkey's assistance to the Libyan government at the Libyan government's request, and put a stop to Emirati, French, Russian and Egyptian forces, basically, and their quest for gaining control of Libya. So I think it's a good thing that the Egyptian government is now seeing sense, and probably most due to Trump administration coming to an end. And I think it is time for the region to see that a stable Libya, a democratic Libya, is the only way forward for all concerned.
So, Murat, how could a close cooperation between Tripoli and Cairo impact Ankara's presence in Libya?
To the final extent, these countries are sovereign and can easily establish any political dialogue among themselves. It's nothing to do with Turkey or any other state. On the other hand, Turkey invested a lot to GNA and does not have any expectation regarding the future of Libya, though. And Turkey has an expectation to have future relations at the line of cooperation and collaboration, not only in military terms, but also in political terms. And Egypt may also be included to this course, because if Egypt says, okay, we are together with Turkey and GNA to work together to assist Libyans to build a democratic state, then why not? I think Turkey is open to every alternatives, including Egypt.
So, Ahmed, is Egypt, can we say, slightly loosening its ties with the United Arab Emirates and moving more towards the Russian policy? And if so, where also does this leave Turkey?
I think we have seen just in recent days how the United Arab Emirates is being more and more isolated. And Egypt, in the end, is going to go along a course which is in its own interest. Now, you asked earlier on whether it would be a reliable partner. I think it would be a partner. I'm not sure about its reliability. In terms of democracy, of course, there is no democracy in Egypt, so there's no way that we can rely on Egypt to ensure democracy in the country. However, I think what is happening at the moment is that there is a stalemate in terms of military. That the Egyptians have realized that there is no way that Tripoli can fall now with Turkish forces in the west of Libya, which weren't there 18 months ago.
So, Murat, why do you think Haftar made those threats against Turkey?
I think Haftar is struggling nowadays because he is defeated from the south of Tripoli, has lost a vast territory that the population of Libya, like 2/3 of the overall population, lives at the northwest under GNA, and a probable election means he will be defeated in political terms. And at the meantime, don't forget, in the USA, Haftar is sued by a family for the crimes he committed during the crime. What does that mean? Then Haftar must stick to a course that includes himself. And Russian support, along with the UAE, will push him to be more aggressive in the coming days because he will not be included to the election process.
Okay. So, Ahmed, where do you think the EU and Russia would stand in Libya's future? Should one expect a more assertive and a unified approach from the European Union, or has the EU lost Libya to Russia?
The EU, first of all, has lost a lot of credibility. And the reason behind this is, of course, the French position, which militarily, logistically, diplomatically, and politically supported Haftar. And they have lost big time. So Europe is, at the moment, still trying to be involved in Libya. But to be honest, they're not being trusted by either side. Russia probably has more of a role because it has troops in the form of Wagner mercenaries still on the ground. So the Europeans, I think they have a problem that they have to try amongst themselves to sort out what their actual position is, because no one knows at the moment. The good thing is that I just want to point out that over the last week, there have been 4 municipal elections in the west of Libya. We have not noticed Europe or any other Western country, congratulating Libyan people on this. Of course, these are in areas which are under Libyan civilian government control. In Haftar areas, controlled areas at the moment, there are no elections, and that shows the success of coming out of the defeat of Haftar forces in the west of Libya. We need to see how we can get rid of Haftar totally from all of Libya, so that all of Libyans can taste freedom again.
So how do you think the political process will be shaped moving forward, Murat, and what do you make of Ankara's position?
There are some courses for that. The Libyan Political Dialogue Forum, as you know, established a consultation mechanism with a group of representatives made up of 18 people exactly, and they will argue on the names who will govern the transition period. But unfortunately, up until now, there was no compromise on that. Because the fear is that if elections are postponed, the transitional government will somehow be a permanent one. On the other hand, there must be an election in Tripoli for an ultimate and endurable stability in country. So we will see if, the ones who are pro-stability or the ones who are more pro, conflict in terms of gaining a benefit on the ground will, have a ground in reality.
So, Ahmed, are you hopeful that there's going to be peaceful elections soon?
That is the only way forward. A lot of the conflict was about who rules Libya. Everybody says there's no military solution. It has been proved that there's no military solution. I don't like the word solution, but it's what people want. Haftar will call it a solution because he wants to take over militarily the control of Libya. He's not able to do that. And so I think there's more a push now towards elections. Now, how these elections will be held is still to be determined. However, as I said, we've seen in the west of Libya how elections can be held. The United Nations can help. America and the European Union can also help in terms of their experience in democracy. And we hope that France will finally learn that just like they want democracy in the United States and France, then Libyans also want democracy, and maybe they'll support that too.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on Libya. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.